we all remember this shot from Marvel's The Avengers. It has become an iconic moment in pop culture, and it represents everything Marvel built up to that point with its previous 5 installments, including Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America: The First Avenger. The Avengers broke box office records on release, being the first movie to have a 200 million plus opening weekend in America, and at the time, the third biggest movie with $1.5 billion worldwide. Today, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is 10 years old. That's right, 10. Composed of 19 films and counting. That is quite an achievement, and something no other studio came close to accomplish. As a kid, I always dreamed of a live-action superhero team-up, and that dream was fulfilled when The Avengers was released in 2012. So why am I doing this video? Simple answer, I love superheroes. There's something inspiring about them that makes us want to become them, a figure of hope and imagination to escape our reality. I grew up watching the Justice League animated series, as well as the Spider-Man one from the 90s and the Batman animated series from the early 2000s. I would come back home from school, turn on my TV, go to Cartoon Network, and watch the 20-minute episode almost every day. The only live-action superhero movies I had watched at the time was Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, the first few X-Men movies, the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and the Tim Burton Batman movies. And then everything changed. Now no one can stop making them. In the span of the last 10 years, there has been more superhero movies made than the entirety of the pre-MCU era. 21 superhero movies in the 21st century, 41 superhero movies before the MCU. But from the release of Iron Man in 2008 up to Avengers: Infinity War, a whopping 42 superhero movies have been made. Yes, that's right, 42. Which means there has been more superheroes made in the last 10 years than in the 64 years prior to it. That is insane. And it doesn't stop there. By the end of 2019, there would have been 54 superheroes released since Iron Man came out in 2008, which averages out to 5 movies a year, or 1 every 2.4 months. And those are just the ones based on Marvel/DC Comics, not including the ones based on Marvel or DC imprints like Kick-Ass, Kingsman, and the R&D movies, or the Ninja Turtles, or the animated ones like Big Hero 6. There's so many of them. Now, I'm not saying that all superhero movies are bad, or that the quality decreased. On the contrary, there's always a superhero movie in my top 10 of the year. Last year, for example, Logan was in a 3-way tie with Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk and War for the Planet of the Apes for my favorite movie of the year. My point is that there's not enough space to breathe or time to reflect. Nothing surprises me anymore. It all feels the same. Also, the fact that every other week there's a big blockbuster coming out makes all the action scenes seems like a copy-paste of the last one. Here's a good example of a good film that took its time to develop the story and characters, compared to a bad film plagued with studio interference and a rushed schedule. Let's take a look at an example of Batman riding the Batmobile in Justice League compared to The Dark Knight Rises' final bomb car chase. They're both scenes involving Batman riding one of his vehicles and using missiles as his enemies, while a time-ticking bomb is the main driving plot of the sequence. But they have much different executions. Whereas Justice League opts for the CGI parademons as an enemy, Dark Knight Rises goes for practical tanks and trucks. The music and sound in one is dull, recycled, and repetitive.
Oh, snap! You're welcome!
The music in the other raises your heartbeat with so much tension. Where in Justice League, this scene comes out of nowhere, in The Dark Knight Rises, the whole movie was building up to a scene. From the moment Bane walks into that football field with the bomb,
This is the instrument of your liberation.
to when Batman flies off away from the city. There's a notion of peril, and the stakes are high because of it. Not because the whole world will end out of nowhere, but because the stakes were raised according to the character's motives and decisions. In The Dark Knight Rises, we know Bane does it for the love of Talia, who wanted to finish what her father started.
Monster whose very existence was a reminder of the hell he'd left his wife to die in. He excommunicated Bane from the League of Shadows. His only crime was that he loved me.
It's a very beautiful moment that shows that even the monster that is Bane has heart and feelings. In Justice League, however, Steppenwolf wanted to destroy the world because he's a mother lover?
Mother, I know, Mother. Praise to the Mother. I see, Mother.
Boy, did they learn their lesson from the last movie.
Why did you say that name?
It's his mother's name.
Bane is a very interesting and relatable character, with lots of quotable lines.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. Then you have my permission to die.
Just like most villains in the Dark Knight trilogy, whereas Steppenwolf is just a dumb and underdeveloped bad guy with the most generic dialogue. In fact, most villains in the DC movies after Nolan's are just a mess.
Then I will destroy you!
No. No, what am what was I saying? No. And,
Hell, even the use of innocent civilians was much better used in The Dark Knight Rises.
Protection from the blast. We're gonna be all right. Double time, go!
An atom bomb!
You think they need to hear that right now? You want us to let them die without hope? Come on!
Do you even remember the Russian family in Justice League? The final battle of The Dark Knight Rises is actually longer than the Justice League one by 5 minutes, but the one in Justice League feels so much longer and forgettable because there's no variation. It's just superpowered people punching at a CGI villain in a green screen. One looks like an artwork come to life. The other looks like a video game. This is mainly due to the context and execution of the final product. Also, CGI mustache doesn't help. And that's my point. Nowadays they all look the same and uninspired shit. Seriously, just look at this. All of these come from superhero movies, and they were all released after The Avengers. Changing the color from blue to red and adding bug creatures does not make it different. It's still the same. You probably didn't even notice that this one right here was from Transformers Dark of the Moon. It might work for an 8-year-old that just wants to watch some action scenes for a Saturday morning cartoon. Except these aren't Saturday morning cartoons. They are theatrically released movies, and movies are supposed to tell compelling stories. Even the MCU suffers from similar problems with its underdeveloped villains, some really bad green screen, and a third act hero fight against a mirror image villain. Nowadays, creating a shared universe is the go-to formula for studios to make money. And it's not a bad idea, but in result, it oversaturates the market, creating this feeling that the studio isn't releasing a film that took its time to find a voice, but launching a mediocre product of an industrialized system. Creating something memorable takes time and commitment, and we fans want all superhero movies to be remembered. This has got to change. Sometimes less is more, and for superhero movies moving forward, the less the better. They're not flawless, but the ones that are great,
remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
anything wrong?
Because he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now.
The truth is, I am Iron Man.
The ones that are great become timeless.